Joined now by royal commentator and editor of the Crown Chronicles, that's Victoria Howard. Victoria, hello to you. So the King and Queen Consort getting straight down to work now that the period of royal mourning has come to an end. We also saw that photograph released over the weekend of the King and Queen along with the Prince and Princess of Wales. So very symbolic, I guess you would say, of the new slimmed-down monarchy that we've been hearing so much about.
I think so, and we definitely saw this earlier in the year with the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Of course, that was a celebration of the Queen and her dedication to duty, but also it really set Charles up as our future king, which of course he is now. So I think this is an example of the royals showing William and setting him up, because of course Charles is in his 70s. The Windsors clearly have quite strong genes, but it's very much, the long game. They're thinking about William as the next king. He's got a bit of a better reputation than Charles in terms of the kind of popularity he has with the public and the way that people perceive him. So I think it's very, very sensible of them to do that, and people are actually dubbing them the new Fab Four.
I want to read you a quote from last year. "I can only urge you as the world's decision makers to find practical ways of overcoming differences so we can all get down to work to save this precious planet." That was the then Prince of Wales at COP27 in Glasgow. But we know now that the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has asked the King not to come to the next COP meeting. Is the government really missing out on an opportunity there to have someone of his presence who is known to be passionate about the environment at that meeting?
Possibly, but I do think it's important that we remember Charles's role has now shifted. As he's monarch, he is king. He does have to kind of toe that political line, the apolitical line, and he can't quite do the same things he did as Prince of Wales. So because this is it's COP, it's the parties, it's the political leaders going, it may not be quite as appropriate as it once was for him to be there to kind of rally that environmental message. Maybe that's something William could take on. Of course, nothing has been mentioned about that, but William is also a passionate environmentalist. So I'm sure Charles is kind of disappointed that he can't go himself. This is something he's campaigned about for decades. Excuse me, but I do think that he understands now that he can't do the things he used to do. He said for his 70th birthday in an interview, "I understand that I can't write to ministers, for example, and carry on in the way that I have." So it's an adjustment and it's a shift that we're not used to seeing yet, because this is still so new for Charles being our king. But I do think it's possibly sensible. And of course, Liz Truss is very new to the role. She took on the job just before Prince Charles became king. So I think they're both kind of feeling this situation out and trying to learn how to work together. So disappointing, but perhaps sensible.
Yeah, you can't imagine, though, that, he clearly isn't going to switch off those views. He's not going to become apolitical about his passion for the environment. So it will be interesting to see how he adjusts, now that he is king, to any commentary that he might make on the subject.
I do think so, and it's unusual. Of course, we had the Queen for 70 years, and if you think about it, you can't really pinpoint any of her opinions. Did we really know what she thought about many topics? Whereas Charles, for 70 years, he was outspoken about many issues, including the environment. So it's unusual that we do know where he kind of stands on a number of quite important issues. And arguably, the environment is no longer a political issue. I don't think anyone contests that there's an issue that needs to be addressed, and very quickly. But I do think it's interesting that he will have to kind of shift the way he communicates that message. He can't be quite as forceful, perhaps, as he's once been. But I definitely think he will be rallying to the cause still, talking to the right people. Of course, has great connections, and now as monarch, perhaps a little bit more influence. But he's fully aware of the way he can and cannot speak about these things. So it will be interesting to see how he continues to talk about this messaging.
Victoria, thank you very much. Victoria Howard there, royal commentator and editor of Crown Chronicles.